We are seeing failed auction setup galore right now on Bitcoin. And by that, I mean over the past 24 hours alone, we have seen a failed auction of the mini range high for a short trade setup. We then went on to form a failed auction of that same range low for a long trade setup. And now, right now, in the action, which I'll be talking you through today in this video, we could be about to form a failed auction once again of the range high for a great short trade setup. So, I mean, this has always been a wonderful trade, one of my favorite trade setups. And just right now, it is on fire. It's getting every high and low of the market. So it's something that you need to fully understand and learn. And that's where I'll be in today's video, sharing the insights on this trade setup so you can fully understand it and trade it, make profit on this. But of course, most importantly, we will also be analyzing how this plays into a trade setup moving forwards. And I really would say over the next 24, 48 hours, this video is going to be absolutely key for you all. Of how Bitcoin is going to play out. So with that said, let's jump back over to the charts. And I want to start off by picking up real simply where we were yesterday. I made a video where we were right here. We were trading right on these candles. And so picking up from there and then analyzing that past 12 hours of price action to where we are here, then moving on to what we're looking at next. And I want to start by looking at this because it's so key to the failed auction trade setup. You're going to be hearing those words a lot today, so get ready for it. But yesterday, I made a video saying I had shorted for Bitcoin's failed auction trade setup, right? And that was, just understand this, we had that mini range high, we had that mini range low. We had formed earlier in the day a swing failure pattern of the mini range low, which for me was a long trade. That was a long trade that I took live on stream. That long trade was taken up to range high, where then at the range high, we did not get an SFB, we got a failed auction. That's where price trades above the highs, comes back down into the range, and I confirmed it to my team, taking the short trade from the failed auction of the high. You can see, the same minute that I'm taking the trade, letting the champions know in the group, right? We just got to say very stern on the analysis. And here we are, failed auction, short trade. And that was a good trade because we brought it all the way down from the highs to the lows. And now this is where you have to understand at this point in time, as I'm making the video, there is not a reason to flip long yet. Because what you're seeing right here is a loss of the range low. And at this point in time, it's retesting it. We're waiting to see. We have to remain patient. Are we going to get the long trade, which is on a reclaim, and move back into the range? And then, you hear me talking you through it. But, that was the mini range low that we were looking at yesterday. And the reason what I was explaining, you want to see them move back into this to confirm a failed auction. That it will invalidate essentially looking down for $114,000. My exact words were this mini range low and the failed auction will be above, the more important than any other bit of analysis right now. It's what's been dictating the market in a way for the past 24 hours. And I did make a tweet because I realized some people are going to read this title and think that I'm bearish or think that it's going down. So I went on to expand about that tweet, make a tweet about this video as soon as I posted it. I wanted to say it's very important. I shorted 2 hours ago. My short was from the range high failed auction. I've already hit take profit 1 on that short trade. The setup itself has already played out. We're already at the range low. So don't short at this point in time, right? You're way too late for the short. Price actually could be trying to form a failed auction of the range low, right? This is where it's trying to form the failed auction. We're waiting to see if that happens, right? I just made that very clear because I know there would have been somebody that said, oh, I shorted because you said that you were in a short trade. It's like, well, that's really not what we're trying to do here, my friends. So, I made this tweet to make it very clear. And then actually around an hour later, you did get a failed auction setup. And this is with the price coming back into the range. At this point in time, you can say you have the start of that failed auction. You can be taking your long right here. Your stop loss is below this wick, right? Your stop loss is below this wick, and you can be targeting the other side of the range again, right? Let's say $119,000. You've went from the swing failure pattern to the fake out of the highs to then a fake out of the lows. And here you had Trump confluence, as we like to call it, with Trump doing a happy crypto week tweet. So, this is considered a bullish tweet. It is positive, and, the market, generally speaking, will react positively to these types of things. And so it was kind of funny. I posted here, Trump posting full on bullish as we're trying to actually get a bullish failed auction trade set up. So, that kind of went hand in hand. And, price, what happened next? We did, of course, make our way up. As you can see here, we made our way up. We got a retest, actually. This is a different trade setup in itself. Third touch setup. Okay, so you had a lot of different trade setups going on here, whether you longed to the original failed auction, whether you longed the retest. There's many different ways you could have got into this long. But, what we're seeing now is a breakout. So there is not a short trade to be had here. Just as yesterday, there wasn't a long trade to be had at this point in time, in my opinion, because you want to wait for the move back in. Right? At this point, you have a valid long trade setup. But at this point, you do not have a valid long trade setup. You see how you need to wait for the price action into the channel. And so the same here. Do you have a short trade right now? Absolutely not. Why? Well, the exact same theory. We are trading above the range high. So there's not a short trade to be had. We have done a very good breakout, and in a comparison to here, this is a much better breakout. This was a type of a very weak breakdown when you think about it. As soon as we got down, we're instantly going for the back tests, right? There's no real, there's no real weakness in this move. Whereas here you can see a big difference. You put in a high. If this was weak, we would have put in that high and then come back in. But here we've made a high, and then we've got consolidation, continuation. Pullback, continuation. This is a lot different, this price action here, than this price action here. Right? This leads us to think, this is this is not really a strong breakdown. Thus, there's no weakness and it's strong. Whereas there is no weakness in this breakout and it is strong. Thus, the likelihood of getting a failed auction at this point in time is lower. Not impossible, but it's lower. What we can do is really simply add the alert, get ready for if this comes back down. But as it stands right now, this is a much better breakout, thus decreasing the likelihood of another failed auction. We might have had our fair share of failed auctions, right? for now. But I hope that you understand the first part of this video, which is explaining how, well, really simply, you got that standard swing failure pattern of the range low. Then you formed at the time, that was your range high. You got the failed auction of the range high, which gave a short trade. You brought it down to the low. And at this point, you get the failed auction of the long. And really, you can see the confirmation here. Look, you can't get candle close in, retest, candle close above. Right? There's lots of confirmation here happening for a failed auction. I actually did not take the long here, to be honest with you. But nevertheless, I did get a long trade on a retest. Okay, on the retest. For me, this was at this point, it would have been nice to see new lows, but this is a valid trade setup in itself, right? We have to trade the charts. You have to understand the Trump tweets. These are all adding to the bullishness. So although I did not long the first, failed auction, well, I got the exact same entry in the end. So the market was very, very kind to me. So, anyway, nevertheless, right? You see a few different ways to get into the long, but that's all history at this point in time. But what I'm saying is there's no reason, if you took the long down there from the failed auction, there's no reason to close it right now. We have not seen another failed auction of the high. We have seen strength on the breakout. And again, this is our new range high right now. So that leads us on to what are we looking at next? Okay, so what are the next, key factors, key levels to be looking at? Well, first of all, we can add on a few little levels here to be aware of. This is a new daily naked point of control. And I kind of like this daily naked point of control when we time to pull our mini range that we've been trading in. You can see how that lines up very nicely with the value area low. And when we come back down to the 15-minute chart, we add back on that what was mini range high, mini range low. I like to always look for confluence factors. Okay, what lines up with nice confluence? Well, look at this. Daily naked point of control on the value area low, on and around the middle of that channel. Right, so this is what I class as really nice confluence. So what that means is if it comes down to here, I'm very interested in a long. Does that mean it is definitely going to come down to there? No. I'm just prepared for a trade scenario where price makes its way back down to $116.9 thousand. Where that for me is a long trade opportunity. Again, very important to note here, two things. Does that mean price is going to come down to here? I'm waiting for a long at this level. Does that mean price is definitely going to come down to here? No. Doesn't, might not happen. Secondly, I am waiting for a long trade here. Does that mean price is going to come down to here, give me a perfect trade setup that I will take the long? No, it could absolutely do something like this. And let's say that there was no good trade setup. Instead, we lose the level, back test it. Well, then in that example as well, there is not a long trade setup. So what I mean by this is I am interested in the long from this level. I have not got a preset limit order. What I will do is once again, place an alert. When price hits that level, I will analyze the order flow and I will make an informed decision. So it's not a guessing game. It's not, oh, I might do this, might do that. It's I know the exact level that I want to wait for a long. But what I need is that level of confirmation from the price action itself on top of the order flow. That for me is what gives me strong conviction behind, do I take this trade? Yes. Or do I not like the reaction, thus not take the trade and expect lower prices maybe towards the range low to come? Again, we still have levels at $115,000 to be aware of. But that is my next level of high interest, we could say. And so now we move on to, are we going to form another failed auction? And a failed auction at this point in time is going to look like this. A bit of a breakout, and then we get the move back down below. Okay, and if we get that move back down below, we can, of course, be looking for one of two things. The nice reaction here for that long trade setup. Again, I've already talked you through that. Or we kind of lose that level. There is no good reaction. And then we get another full-blown reversal from the high back down to the low. This is something to be aware of. But what I would say at this point in time is look at the confluence. Look at the confluence that we have here of the support. We have resistance into support flip. We have the value area high and the point of control all on one level. And we have that previous range high. So we're talking about like 4 levels of confluence of support here. And so this is what I would class as a very aggressive long trade. I personally am not a fan of these types of trade setups. Could it work? Could you do this? Retest and pump? Of course you absolutely could. But I'm just not a fan of these types of retest trades. This is a type of trade setup where, of course, I understand it could retrace, hit the level, pump, perfect. But I'm just not that style of trader. Okay, and one thing that aids me in this, right? If I was in a scenario where I'm in no long trades at all, right? I'm totally underexposed to the market. I'm just in 0 long trades. Well, then I could be feeling a little bit more FOMO of like, oh God, I missed the longs. I'm in no longs. I'm missing out on all the moves. And, I'd be in a position where I'd be much more interested in taking those aggressive long trades. Because emotionally, it's very hard when you're in no longs and the market's so bullish, right? You got to be a little bit more aggressive, one could say. But I am in a very fortunate position. I have many longs open on Bitcoin. I do not need to be forcing these longs, which are not my preferred trade setups. Okay, so I love to take, swing failure pattern, failed auction, retest, but I do not like to take the moves of by retest. I mean something like the long that I got yesterday, retest of the low. This is a wonderful trade setup. You're moving down, you're longing around the lows. This is very different context than longing a retest of the high when you're already pumped, very high on the day. It's just not my preferred method of trading. I would prefer to just wait and watch that. Like, I'll watch this reaction. If it gets the reaction bullish, I will not long it because it's not what I'm going to do today. So, I will just watch it. But if it does something like this and you actually then end up losing the level, well, that's where I could lock in a short off of that failed auction, right? So, what my only option here is a short, even though I am more bullish and I do think higher prices come. And right now we've not even got a failed auction. So, it's just something to be aware of. Wanted to spend a few minutes just explaining that to you. But yeah, nevertheless, really good breakout thus far. There is a lot of strength behind the move. I hope you can truly understand the big differences between this failed auction of the low and the price action of market structure that we're seeing now. There is a big difference between them. And that then opens us up to, okay, well, where are we going to be looking for next? Well, I think we got a few key levels, right? So, and we look at this, as I was saying, talking you through yesterday, that value area high coming in at around $120,000 CC. Fibonacci just above this. So we'll just add on to CC, seconds. So you can see this zone of $120,000 is where I would say is the next zone of interest. Again, just like I've got an interest of long, around 117,000. I have an interest of short around 120. When we directly compare long versus short, of course, the long is more interesting. Why? Because we are in a massive bull market. It goes without saying, if you are in a position where you only want to take a long or you only want to take a short and you do not want to trade two trades simultaneously, well, naturally, one would say the long is more interesting. Well, you're trading with the trend. We are in a bull market. The expectation is higher. But, thankfully, we are not in that position where we can only trade one side of the market. I'm open to trading both sides. I have a lot of longs open from lower, and right now I have no short trades at all. Right, I have 0 short trades on Bitcoin, not a single one. So in that regards, if we pump from here, amazing. But I do like to put myself in a position where I have a short trade. For that expectation, of course, is higher, but doesn't mean it's 100% probability, right? There's still a small probability of a retracement here. So I like to be in that position of protected. And this is where I am very different from a lot of people. But guess what? We're also in very different positions. I like to have that level of protection, capital protection, rather than, just full on exposure. And so my next level of capital protection would come in around $120,000. Again, I might not take the short trade there. It's just a zone for me that has, again, not a great amount of interest because I do not think it is a massive resistance. But there is some minor resistance where I can be looking, for a potential short trade to line up around here. So what do we do again? I just place my alerts. I wait, ready and waiting for around $120,000. Again, my first thoughts here is, this is not a high confluence zone. This is not really what I class as a massive resistance. If we get a rejection there, I would prefer to see something like this. Reject, bring it back down, and then we're going to get some form of long trade set up again. And of course, then the expectation would be this. I really do think new all-time highs come. Doesn't mean, though, that I'm going to be scared to take a short should it be given. And doesn't mean that has to happen. We absolutely could, do something like that. It's not against the realm of possibilities, right? That everything is possible in this market. And that's why some people say, oh, Daniel, you say the market could go up, down or sideways. Oh, you're giving us long and short trades. We don't want this. We want you to tell us what's happening. We want you to tell you the one and only trade. Well, my friends, I'm not a scammer. Let's just start by saying that. Anybody that says they know what's happening next, anybody that says this is what's going to happen on Bitcoin, anybody that says, well, this is the one and only trade, just stop following them, I would say, because they clearly have some ulterior motive of what are they trying to sell you here, because that's not how the market works. The market, although some people will troll or joke around it, the market literally can go up, down or sideways. None of us know with 100% certainty what's happening next. Thus, we need to be prepared for a long trade should the market go down. We need to be prepared for a short trade, again, with caution, should the market rise. Because I only long when the market's dropping and I only look to short when the market's rising. Again, that's a bit of a brain explode for a lot of people. They look to long when the market's rising. They look to short when the market's dropping, but hey-ho. And when the market's going sideways, much like yesterday, right? Yesterday, what was happening? The market was going completely sideways. Okay, on the grand scheme of things, this was sideways price action. But we still got the short from the mini range high, the long from the mini range low. The long earlier in the day from the swing failure pattern. So it's like we are able to extract profits on this market on the higher term time frame swing trades. Remember, this would have been now a few weeks ago. I gave on video a long from $105,200. I'm still in that long trade today. All right, so we're able to extract money on the larger term time frame from the pullbacks. So we can make money while the market's going up, or the market's going down, and when the market's going sideways. I think that is the perfect position to be in. I think that if you truly want to make this and again, we always will tell you this, make trading your business. This is not a hobby. This is not something you want to do for fun. This is not something that you're gambling, you're taking lightly, right? Even if it's not your full-time job, right? You've got another thing going on. This is just your side gig. You still want to take it seriously. So even if you can only dedicate, a few hours a week to this, the few hours that you dedicate, take it seriously. Treat it like its own business, right? Be careful with your cash flow. Don't just take random trades. Plan everything out. Hold your journal. Hold yourself accountable. And, if that's the style of trading you want, That is the style of trading that will get you consistent profits. Well, that's what you can learn from us at Chart Champions, the one-stop shop for all of your trading needs. I will say this right now. We actually have a brand new lesson coming out for the contenders today. This is on entry triggers. And we also have the second video of our brand new series, which is called Investing and Diversifying. So if you're looking for long-term investments, if you want some hidden gem, long-term investments, this also, of course, includes the stock market. If you want to find the next NVIDIA, then this is the stream for finding those hidden gems for long-term investments. And then again, we do have a brand new lesson today. So we are working on new lessons again for contenders. And this, today we have coming out entry triggers. So I think that is a very important lesson, and that's what's, and of course recently we released the CCV2. We've just got a lot of new lessons coming out recently, and more to come. So yeah, if you want to see it, chartchampions.com. Hope you've enjoyed this, hope it's made sense, and yeah, you know where I'm ready and waiting for next internally in this price action. Thank you ever so much. Hope you've enjoyed, and that's me signing out. Goodbye.